Gnarco is just not a company, it's a way of life. Born from the vision of embracing the gnarly spirit, we at Gnarco are dedicated to crafting American made products that embody the essence of adventure and freedom. Our mission is clear to empower individuals to live life to the fullest, unapologetically, being themselves and finding tranquility in the pursuit of remarkable experiences. You can visit Narco at narcousa.com. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code Elevate21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading. Or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. And this episode is brought to you by Baba Coffee, smuggling good vibes. Baba roasts their coffee beans each week and only offers the freshest coffee. They have espressos, lattes, cappuccinos, pour over, or drip coffee. You can try their cold brew coffee, nitro cold brew, or bulletproof coffee, and boba milk teas. They also have a wide assortment of delicious food. I would suggest you try the avocado toast, mimosas, wine, or beer. On the weekends, you can check out some great music like the Soto Six and food like Eliza the Shelf and others over the weekend, every Friday and Saturday, beginning at 6 p.m. You can check out everything they got going on Facebook and Instagram at Baba Coffee. New episode of The Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. We are back here at Baba Coffee here in beautiful Carlsbad, California. They've been a great sponsor of mine. Phoenix, what are you drinking on?
This is one of their teas.
All right.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's very nice.
Well, I have a honey lavender, iced honey lavender latte with oat milk from Baba. So that's probably, I think that's about the only drink I get from here. I'm a creature of habit. So like any other place, it's always like some kind of something with honey or lavender. But yeah, hey, today we're here at Baba Coffee. So quick shout out, as to one of my sponsors here. But today on this episode, we have Phoenix and a very, very talented artist, illustrator, creator, animator. I know personally I'm a big fan of her work and just her progression with a lot of the work she's been putting out. It's been amazing. Even the development of some of your characters that I've seen you do over the years, and I know with me personally, I know with any kind of character that I know I'm sure it's some kind of extension of your personality in some form or fashion. But I'll let you sort of share your story, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you. Well, I've always lived in this community, and it is the best. I love being here. I went to school for a while for college in Laguna Beach, but then the pandemic happened. I was studying animation at the time, and luckily, in a weird, like, I don't know, like, just polarizing way, but like the pandemic happened, and so I couldn't go to school. But then I also got my first animation job. And so it ended up working out anyways.
Yeah.
And from there, I went into stop motion with my first job at the Portal. They have a pilot that I worked on. It's called Psycho Songs. You have to message them to watch it, but you can see it. It's just it was supposed to be on Sci-Fi's Cheesy Jeezy Hour, which was kind of like they were trying to do like an Adult Swim type thing.
Yeah, they're trying to.
They would try. Yeah, they tried. They did have a few cartoons that were really good. I really liked Garrett and his demon. But yeah, so you have to message over the portal if you still want to see it, since the Cheesy Jeezy Hour doesn't exist anymore. But I highly recommend it. It's great. People that open the portal are great. Hi guys.
So even with you getting into animation, I know sometimes there could be a just from what I've seen, that sometimes it could be a stigma with the just getting into animation, especially with you being female. What have been the sort of the challenges for you, even getting into that arena and just being successful in it?
One thing that I've definitely noticed is that there aren't many women in animation or non-binary or queer people that are super high level in animation, especially in something like stop motion. I've noticed that a lot of the animators, for the most part, are male, and then they'll put the women or more feminine presenting people in like the puppet department.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I like being in the puppet department. I get to socialize in the puppet department, but it is like a weird dichotomy where it's like I know like a lot of people want to be animators.
Yeah.
But this has been in stop motion. I don't have a lot of experience inside 2D animation studios, to be fair. Most of my 2D work has been through my own studio, it's Little Green Bug Animations. And so yeah, that's been like one of the bigger issues. But for the most part, it's been really good. A lot of the commissions that I get are through social media, so it's been very good.
Yeah.
It's how you and I connected and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But through a lot of that, I've been able to connect with a lot of my commissioners who are indie artists, indie musicians looking for someone to do a music video.
Yeah.
Small creators. What actually one commission that I'm doing right now is for a podcast, for a different podcast.
Oh wow.
So it's stuff like that. So I like getting a lot of these commissions.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, and I know with a lot of creators out there, they, I know they're trying to build up their social media following. What's been one thing that you've, I mean, I know everybody has their own little tips on that, but like for you, has it just been consistency, or is just like the, maybe the subject matter of the animation? I didn't know what's worked for you. That's
super valid. So when I first started posting on social media, this was in like high school, and I was posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
And my rule for it was to post every day. And part of that was just a challenge for me because I wanted to get better at doing art. I wanted to try to build a portfolio.
Yeah.
So it was just I had to post something art related every single day, and that was how I forced myself to keep on. And over the years, I've there does have to be some level of consistency. I've noticed personally. And I've done some social media marketing work with various small businesses and stuff like open court.
Yeah.
So like my biggest takeaway is you have to be somewhat consistent. It's good to use stuff that is trending, but that's not necessary if you have a good enough message, something that will connect with people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be super frequent. It could be once a week, and then once you get good enough, it could be once a month.
Okay.
But that's what I've noticed. I feel like some level of consistency, but like it still has to be like good. And that's what I'm saying. If you can make good stuff and you can make it somewhat fast, like once a week is more.
Yeah. So with your with the stop motion animation you do, what's the timeline on that, like for you, I mean, from start to beginning? Because I know personally, I'll see you put out this work, and I'm like, how was it taking her to like do every little frame on this? So
it's a lot. So most of my stop motion work is, well, most of my animations, I like to do it at a lower frame rate. So a lot of the times I'll do it at 12 frames per second.
Okay.
Instead of 24.
Yeah.
And that helps a bit, but depending on the action, it's not. It's definitely
now we'll let's piggyback to that for people that may not have any kind of knowledge of animation whatsoever. I know a little bit of it, so I understand the frame rate. So is the industry standard 24 frames?
Yes. That's why things like you'll hear some like animation circles and stuff, people really talking about in Spider-Verse, across the Spider-Verse, the things like Boots and Boots, Last Wish, and they'll talk about the frame rates and how there's different things like for film, for movies, a lot of the times they'll have a higher frame rate, which will be about 24 frames per second, and it'll be on ones and twos, which means that the image is changing every 1 or 2 frames.
Okay.
So that's a solid 24 drawings, 24 increments that the puppet's moving. Per second. But for TV, it's usually a lot lower. Sometimes it's as low as like 4, or they'll just have the mouth moving, but the character will be completely still.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a way to cut down the price so that it can be made for TV.
Okay.
So for things like I'm sorry, I just totally blanked out.
No,
for a lot of different animation, you have different frame rates, and for like Into the Spider-Verse and stuff like that, especially this is incredibly common in foreign animation. So
Yeah.
like stuff like anime and
Yeah.
stuff like that will play with frame rates a lot more than we've seen
Oh
here.
yeah.
And so Into the Spider-Verse got a lot of good critique from animators, because a lot of what they did was they would animate different characters on different frames so that they would look more jagged or would move at a different rate. Like Spider-Punk, his clothes are animated at a different frame rate than he is. So he's on like 3 frames per second, I think, but his clothes are on 4s. And so I'm getting really technical. But
no, it's great to understand. I mean, I mean, because I know I enjoy the art. Man, I'm still a lover of cartoons, and even going back to like I'm a huge fan of like 80s cartoons. And so I always love the technical aspect of like what it takes to actually create an actual cartoon. So like people are sitting there waiting like you wait for this new cartoon to come out, or why did it take it so long? Like you don't understand the technical precision it takes to create frame by frame to give the illusion of motion. It's and depending on the scope of the cartoon, I mean, you need a group of people doing this. So
that's what got me really interested into animation, was just like both storytelling and the visual aspects of how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, what does that take? And so like but the reason I like stop motion, at least personally, a lot of my animations, the reason I'm able to turn them out a lot quicker is because the way that I try to do stop motion isn't necessarily to look super clean. Like it's not film quality, it's supposed to like TV quality. But I like that aspect. I'm heavily influenced by Rankin Bass cartoons. Yeah. You know what those are?
No, I hadn't heard of those.
It's do you know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Oh yeah.
That's Rankin Bass.
Oh, okay.
So those Christmas specials that are played at nauseum around that time of the year, those are Rankin Bass. Okay. And those were made, Arthur and Bass were from America, but it was animated in Japan. And in order to save money, there was like, and also because they couldn't like, now you can take pictures and you'll see the image on the computer by you. Couldn't do that. So like there were already these people who like maybe didn't even know English trying to animate these characters and make them move, and it was almost all done by like
oh yeah. Yeah.
But so like I'm heavily influenced by that, because now stuff like Leica and Aardman sometimes are able to make such a clean animation out of stop motion. Yeah. That like it's beautiful, it's amazing technical work. But at that point, I'm kind of like, you might as well just kind of do CG. Like it looks a bit too clean. I want to see the human aspect. Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of beauty in that. So a lot of what I do is just doing it kind of fast and messy. Okay. And I like to do it where I hide the rig in case you don't know. A rig is how you put a puppet up. Yeah. So a lot of my characters don't really have tie downs. They're what is considered point and stick puppets. Yeah. So like all of their body parts come off, and I just use needles to stick them in place. All right. And so that comes with a lot of issues, but because I'm able to do that and I can hide the rigs, I don't have to edit those out later. Nice. So that makes it easy. It's messy and it's quick, but it's fun. And I think it's great exercise, especially if you're like a perfectionist. Doing something where you time yourself so you're not allowed to be a perfectionist is really good for you. I highly recommend it if you're like, oh my gosh, this is taking me forever. Put a timer on it. Yeah. Yeah, I know sometimes it could be a little easier from the digital aspect, having the rigs with the characters, because I mean you can just knock off a layer or whatever and like it's going. So yeah, I applaud you for doing something. I mean that's sort of handmade. That's that's a lot of work. So, but I know with things like that, I know that the end product could be, the results of that can be amazing. So what you doing these, and I know from what I've seen on social media, just with your content, I know it's you progress emotionally from to a lot of different subjects. Do you feel, and I know for you, do you feel like that's just
you're just trying to maybe communicate that what you're already feeling in just different ways. So okay. So I mean, for you, I mean, what is do you feel like more of that needs to be seen, maybe from the maybe from the animation standpoint, like being able to portray like subjects and topics like that?
I think the best artist also just live full lives. I think you have to live a full life in order to figure out and create something.
Yeah.
Um, and that's true. That's especially true of animation because you have to observe life in order to recreate it.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you're doing in animation. You're just recreating life. No matter how abstracted from reality it is, it's still a recreation of something.
Yeah.
And so I think that like a lot of my work lately has been going through a lot of stuff that I've been processing.
Yeah.
I recently had a bit of a medical issue where I found out that I was basically just having depression once a month for like 2 weeks out of the month.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Because after it would happen, it would go away. And then I'd be like, wow, that was stupid. Why was I so sad for a while? And it was just something where it was like, I was discounting my own feelings. I knew that it wasn't important enough. I wasn't being impacted enough because I was still working. I was still able to work.
Yeah.
But I realized that I still wasn't happy. And for a while, it even made me question if I wanted to do animation because I wasn't feeling happy. Like I wasn't feeling happy by it anymore. But I realized, like, no, the animation is part of what kept me going.
Yeah.
But I think that all art tells us something. All art that we connect with tells us something that we need to hear.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, sometimes it can be hard for I mean, even a creative such as yourself. You know, we deal with those issues. You know, it could be physical or mental. And having to you know, you're trying to put out, you know, quality work, and at the same time battling you know, those things you know, that people may not see on social media. And I sort of noticed a lot of I think a lot of creators tend to have that issue. You know, not to say you're, you know, you got your own set of things you have to deal with, but I think they're always on that. They're so even with take in mind we are live, so even with creatives like you know, that's on that verge of, you know, genius and insanity at the same time. It could be I think it'd be a dead line. I mean, I know there's a lot of things that I do to sort of keep myself in check because, you know, there's times where, you know, I can have so much stuff coming through that sometimes like I was like, okay, I need to like just go quiet. and and then at the same time too, I mean, I think there's different ways that I help, you know, as far as exercise or just any other things that help me sort of you know, decompress or deal with certain things. Maybe I just need to get away from the computer. But I've got different ways of doing that. But I know everybody, you know, deals with it in certain ways. And so yeah, I mean, I applaud you for, you know, acknowledging that and feeling like, you know, you don't have to, you know, just push through it. You know, sometimes you have to sort of be aware of it, figure out, you know, how to deal with it because it's still going to be there. So
social media for longer than like a week.
Mm.
It still wasn't super long, but that's the thing. I think that I was just so high functioning when I was going through the hard times that it was hard for me to rationalize like that I needed help.
Yeah.
And that I think that's one of the things that I am now trying to like understand the most is like recognizing when I'm feeling something and trying to realize why I'm feeling that. And it's helped a lot. Like not just dismissing it because it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Oh yeah.
Actually acknowledging this is uncomfortable, but maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
And that's been hard, but it's working.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I know, you know, I don't tell a lot of people, but you know, my mom recently, you know, passed away. And it's just one of those where like there's times where I tell people I'm still healing. It's been a couple of years now, and it's the times where I feel great. And sometimes I just like I tell my wife, like I just feel sticky, like I just like something's just off. And
You know, it's just like I can't explain it, but you learn how to process it and just be with it. I mean, and so it can be a, you know, it's always a process, and I think that's what any artist or any creator, you know, you just learn how to go through the messy stuff and you know, see what comes out of it. But you know, right now, I mean, what's inspiring you right now?
Right now, um, honestly, a lot of inspiration from nature.
Yeah.
I've gotten as a kid, I was really obsessed with bugs. Like really interested in insects, and um, recently I've gotten back into it. It's also a heavily what inspired the book that I made, The
Okay.
Everyday Adventures
Yeah.
of Karen. It's about a boy who can hear the thoughts of plants. Was heavily inspired after just like spending time in nature. Like that's why like the plants, like all the characters are super simplistically designed, but the plants are really detailed.
Yeah.
Like that was intentional. It was just because that's where I was getting from. But I find a lot of inspiration in nature and a lot of inspiration through talking to people about stuff like what you said you were going through.
Yeah.
And realizing just that like we're all going through a lot of things, and in a lot of ways it's kind of similar and we can all kind of relate in that way to bring us together.
Yeah.
So bugs and feelings lately have been a big inspiration.
Well, speaking of that, you know, you got a, you know, you just came out with a new little book there. So people get a chance to check that out. Is this on your website?
Yeah, it's on my Ko-Fi.
Okay.
And it's about a boy who can hear the thoughts of plants. He can't do anything about it. He just hears thoughts that aren't his constantly. It's a bit of an adult read. Just so you're aware, this probably isn't the best thing to give like a small child.
Rated PG-13?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a coming of life story.
Yeah.
And a bit of a satire on the hero genre.
Yeah.
Where it's like if superpowers were as common as allergies, they'd probably be just about as useful. If just about everyone had superpowers, they'd probably wouldn't all be winners.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's about a bunch of people that kind of got dealt a bad card, but are doing with it the best that they can.
I like that. So I'll definitely check that out. So yeah, appreciate it. The Everyday Adventures of Taryn. Awesome.
Oh yeah. So I already told you, but this was printed through a local printer. The business sadly isn't around anymore.
Okay.
But it was called Dragon Press. I got it printed because I wanted it to look like the old sketchbook I drew all of those drawings in. Originally, Taryn was an Inktober thing.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know what Inktober is, it's you draw something every single day of October. And I decided I wanted to make a comic every day. So that's how that started. And so this has been done over multiple years, making these comics, but I wanted it to look homemade and hand drawn.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Everyone gets a chance to check some of that out. Oh, that's great.
don't show that one.
All
That's
right.
mature content.
I'll check that. I'll read this, Micah. This is great. This is awesome. So well, right now, I mean, what for our audience, you know, what are some creative tips? You know, what's something that you can offer our audience as far as maybe one tip or maybe a couple of tips?
Yeah. Okay. So big tip, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep trying. And if you're not liking what you're doing, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're doing it bad or that you shouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah.
It just means that maybe you need to try to do it a different way. Or like I said, like when I get stuck on things, I remember when I first had to start doing figure drawings, I hated it. I hated it so much.
See, that's I'm opposite with that because I love figure drawings. I've been doing those since I was a kid. Yeah, I can do that, but I can't draw a landscape for nothing. So I've been working on that.
Yeah, I liked really cartoony, very simplistic. So when I had to actually start drawing real people, it was very frustrating for me. But I was like, and like now I can do it really well. But part of the way that I would find fun in it was I would try to make it a different challenge every time.
Okay.
So like I would bring crayons and I would be like, this is what I'm going to do my drawing in today. Or like I would I love doing contour line drawings.
Yeah.
So the drawings with a single line where it's like I'm doing it and I'm not lifting up on my paper.
Get that exercise.
Oh yeah, it's so like finding ways to challenge myself, and I especially like doing the contour line drawings because usually then I'm like, okay, I have 10 minutes to do this. Let's go. So setting timers, stuff like that. I like constantly like changing what I'm doing so I don't have time to get bored or something.
Yeah.
Which is also why I usually have multiple commissions or projects going at a time.
Yeah.
So that if I'm feeling stuck or like frustrated with how one project's going, I can pause from that and go work on my own project or go work on a different commission, and it's still stuff still gets done.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that's some advice, I guess.
All right. No, that's a good tip because I know I've sort of forced myself to do some more, which I'm more on the digital landscape, but doing more backgrounds and landscapes. So I know just one of those where I'm really good at figure drawing, but like as far as doing landscapes, I was like, okay, I need to learn how to like draw buildings and draw scenery, and I was like, so just one of those where I just still growing as a creator. I think if I stop growing, I easily could be like, I'll just have someone else do this. But I was like, you know what, let me just sit down and just start, looking up, researching, on YouTube, sort of watching videos, how are they doing this, and then just start doing that. So, but yeah, it's definitely different, always a different medium. Anytime, you're actually drawing digitally, it's still completely different from like hand drawn. But yeah, it's just one of those where I'm, still trying to learn. So speaking of learning that, what do you feel? And I know everyone's got their pros and cons about it. What do you feel about AI?
Ooh, I was wondering if this question was gonna come up. I have mixed feelings.
All right.
I think that I think anything that makes an artist's life easier,
Yeah,
is a pro. But in the hands of greedy corporations, it is a negative. In the hands of people who will use it just in order to get something done quickly, it is a negative. I was recently part of a mural project, and AI was used there, and none of the artists knew. Yeah, no, it was bad. And it's still up there, and most of the community doesn't know. So like I have feelings about that. Especially because up until that point, multiple artists had submitted multiple things. We had gotten to like the final stage, and then they just got rid of all that. Primarily AI stuff.
Wow.
Which was incredibly irritating.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, myself as an artist, I think there's a lot of potential for AI to be used to make what I do easier, especially as a small business artist. Where like for a while I was experimenting with AI frame interpolation for stop motion, because I think that could be really cool. But I know it's a touchy subject right now.
Oh yeah.
It's a very touchy subject. I do think that AI could be used for good if it's used by the artist.
Yeah.
But if it's used again by people who just want money, then it's not the best thing.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's I think I know personally for me, I use it as a really as a tool or assistant. So I mean, even if I'm concepting certain things, sometimes I'll, even with Photoshop, you got the options to do that now with Firefly and Photoshop. Now I'll just like, hey, I'm need an idea on something. I'll be like, a unicorn with fairies and so, and I was like, oh, okay, this came out pretty. Now obviously it's still got limitations, but it gives me the filter, like, okay, now I sort of got a vision of maybe where I can work on, and then I'll start to create some things. But yeah, I definitely don't want to have see AI as just like, hey, I'm just making something and that's art. I mean,
and I do think, like, to an extent, AI is kind of like, there will always be AI, but that doesn't mean that artists will be eliminated by any means. Again, like, I personally heavily value the human touch. I value those little mistakes that are made by people. I love hearing about films and the little behind the scene things that like ended up making it into the film and stuff like that are amazing. And you can't have stuff like that with AI. You
Yeah.
can't have bloopers with AI.
Nope.
So what I think is like, no matter what, an artist will be needed. Even like in animation, if AI starts doing more stuff like that, a human will be needed. Artists will be needed to do the majority of it. And
Yeah.
then maybe AI can come in and clean it up.
Yeah.
But no matter what, the artist will survive this.
Yeah.
I'm not that afraid, but I do not like it in the hand of 3D corporations. There's no way that that's a good thing. Anything in the hand of 3D corporations is pretty bad.
No, it's not. I mean, I know recently there was one big time creator on Instagram that I guess someone created some kind of AI prompt to pretty much copy his artwork. Really big in the sort of the anime scene. He does a lot of anime artwork, incredible artist.
It makes sense.
And they someone created some kind of AI prompt to exactly like copy his style and everything. So it's just one of where I think that can be frustrating because that's years upon years of like training. So I definitely wouldn't want someone to like copy my work. I mean, I think if I saw, okay, that's different because I like me personally, there's certain like artists that I've always been, loved, and I sort of copied my style after them, but sooner or later you have to adapt and create your own style. Yeah, but I don't want to just exactly like just trace it and copy it and say, hey, like this is my artwork when I know it's not. Like everyone eventually is gonna have to create their own little style.
Yeah.
And I think that's I get really the quest of any creator is figuring out ways of developing their style. First of all, you'll have to study under someone, and then eventually you'll create your own style. But yeah, I think you don't want to be at the point to where you copy something without any of the process it took to get to that point.
Well, the artist being credited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like some artists are okay with their work being traced. Not all artists are checked, but some artists are okay with their work being traced.
Yeah.
But if you post it or something, you're expected to credit that artist.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like the same way with AI, where it's like a lot of the times the artists that are their artwork is being taken and used to train this AI are getting no credit.
Yeah.
But it's clearly being taken from their
Oh
work
yeah.
because AI can't create something new. It can only copy what it's seen.
Yeah.
And that seems like the ultimate theft to me, is just the lack of responsibility with AI companies to disclose that information, to disclose who it's from.
Yeah. Now I know Instagram just put out something where they got the made for AI label. So that's gonna be interesting to see. Now it gives you the option. But I mean, even with I know with Adobe Firefly, it comes like when you create something from there, it comes with some kind of a licensing or some kind of information automatically embedded in the thing saying, hey, like this was sourced from AI material. So that's good. But yeah, you got some people that may put out something, and I guess you got the honor code. Can you switch this made for AI on or off? I mean, yeah.
I dislike it, especially when companies make it really hard to opt out of something.
Yeah.
So like, I think that the AI should be automatically, you're opted out unless you turn it on.
Yes.
And the fact that they did it the other way, and then they make it really hard to make it so you opt out of it.
Yeah.
Is a little like, I love you, Instagram. It's a bit scummy. It's a little scummy.
So I guess before we get we sign off on this episode, what are some words of wisdom that you can give our audience, just for people that may listen to this episode soon or maybe a year from now? What's some things you can give them?
Get Procreate. It's a great tool. Not sponsored, but it also doesn't matter what tools. Again, the biggest thing is that you just keep going.
Yeah.
And I know that it's probably been said hundreds of thousands of times, especially in this podcast, as you talk to so many kids. Just keep going with it. And like, you don't have to, like, if something isn't working, then change your approach, but don't stop. That's the best advice I can give. And also give yourself breaks. Like everybody needs breaks. I tend to be a very busybody where I'm like, oh, I'll just put it off until I'm done with this last bit, and then it takes me 3 more hours, and I haven't had lunch. It's like, give yourself breaks. It's okay. The project will still be there when you come back.
Yeah, that's the truth. So hey, this has been a great episode with me with Phoenix. How can people reach out to you if they're wanting maybe to get connect with you with commissions, maybe the new books? What's the best way of reaching out to you?
Social media. I'm ivoxus, ivoxus, on Instagram, TikTok, I think Facebook. And in my bio will always be a link to stuff like my Ko-Fi where you can get the book. I also am on YouTube. I'm trying to get that going, so hopefully that'll be I want to try to this year animate my first like longer YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
So I know it's a challenge. So that's one of the
You might have
things
to get an assistant for that.
We'll see. We're getting there. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Feel free to reach out. I also have a fashion account on the side if you're interested. Them's Fashion, just for funsies.
Awesome. Well, hey, this has been another great episode with me, with Phoenix. First and second of all, another quick shout out to Baba Coffee. I know we're doing a live recording, so you may hear a lot of background noise, a lot of people in the background. So that's awesome. Sort of gives brings out the authenticity of a coffee shop. Everybody's doing their own thing and hanging out. But just quick shout out to Baba Coffee, smuggling good vibes, good coffee. They have organic wine, great coffee, food, treats. They also have live music every Friday and Saturday. Yeah, great. If you get a chance to come by on the weekends, they got a great vibe. They usually have different vendors cooking. They got Soto Six doing music as well as other musicians. And then they also, if you're interested, they also have a wine club that's out now. So you get 2 of their organic wines for $55 a month. Great offer. And then if you get more bottles, you actually get a discount. So, but you can get more information on that at babacoffee.com. But yeah, check them out. Support your local coffee shop. Support your local business. So that's just a quick PSA to one of my sponsors, Baba Coffee. So once again, hey, this has been Quantel, Phoenix, and this is the Creative Brew. Be creative, stay inspired.
No, I won't take it. No, we won't take it. Life is about to give you ups and downs, all the wins and the outs and the smiles and frowns. They will tell you, settle down, stay on the ground. No, I won't take it. No, we won't take it. The same